It's me, Melyssa Lubay, and this is my final vlog. And today we're going to talk about the essays of Jose Rizal. And first, I'm going to discuss the Filipinas dentro 100 años. And this is my reflection to it. This is a social-political essay written by Dr. Jose Rizal and was published in La Solidaridad, Madrid on September 30, 1809 to January 1890. So that was the time of the publication. So Rizal wrote this essay to predict the future of the Philippines in 100 years. As one of the most significant political works of the movement in Spain, the general mood of this essay by Dr. Jose Rizal is a picture of how it was during those years of colonization of the Spaniards. This essay asserts that if Spain does not grant the reforms demanded by those who work through legal and peaceful means, it will have to face the prospect of armed rebellion. Rizal was certain, despite the superior material forces arrayed on the side of the Spaniards, the natives would eventually triumph. He wrote the terrible lessons and hard teachings which these struggles will give to the Filipino will serve to improve their moral condition and strengthen them. Through struggle, the Filipinos who have reached the depths of moral abasement will raise or improve their moral condition, and Rizal surmised that these new men will perhaps dedicate themselves to go upon wide road of progress. So Rizal's reference to America as a possible factor in the Philippines' future is based upon the prediction of the German traveler Theodor Hagor, who about 1860 spent a number of months in the islands and later published his observations, supplemented by 10 years of further study in European libraries and museums as travel in the Philippines. And Rizal read a better version of that book, that publication, while a student in the Ateneo Municipal de Manila, have a political education and transferred to Jose the hopes which had been devastated for himself by the execution of his beloved teacher Father Burgos in the Cavite Mutiny. Therefore, as a way to the answer to questions, will the Philippines Islands continue to be a Spanish colony, and if so, what kind of colony? So Rizal answered that it can be either the Philippines remain under Spanish domination but with more law and greater liberty, or declare themselves independent after fighting for their country to death. He also added that predicting events in history is much difficult than in nature. If there is no eternal state in nature, how much less can there be in the life of people, given its mobility and motion? So considering it is necessary to open the book of the past in order to see into the future, Rizal recounted the great difficulties encountered by the Spaniards during the first centuries of their colonization of the Philippine Islands. Compared to this, he writes, the contemporary situation promises a rose further for the Spaniards. Next is por telefono, or by phone. That is also written by Jose Rizal. And it discusses some social issues and plans for the Philippines by the two friars. It was published in 1889 as a reply to a friar named Father Salvador Font in connection to his discrimination about Noli Me Tangere and for initiating the banning of Noli in the fall of 1889. The first pamphlet was printed in Barcelona under the authorship of Dimas Alang, and Dimas Alang was a pen name of Jose Rizal at that time. Por Telefono is a satirical comedy about Father Font, who was at Madrid speaking with a provincial priest in San Agustin Monastery using a telephone line that is spearheaded by the Transoceanic Telephone Corporation, and this play is full of symbolism, and it unveils how friars lived their lives and how they give thanks for the donations given by ilustrados. Every line that has been uttered in the Madrid is like an echo that fills the corners of the Philippines. The Vision of Fray Rodriguez. This is one of Rizal's writings in London, where he received news on Fray Rodriguez's unabated attack on his novel Noli Me Tangere while being busy in research studies at the British Museum, and Rizal wrote this as a counterattack to the irrational criticism of Fray Rodriguez on his novel. La Vision del Fray Rodriguez, or The Vision of Fray Rodriguez, pamphlet wrote by Rizal, again, which published in Barcelona under his nom de plume Dimas Alang, or pen name Dimas Alang, in order to defend his novel La Vision del Fray Rodriguez is a satire depicting a spirited dialogue between the Catholic Saint Augustine and Rodriguez. In this pamphlet, Rizal demonstrated his profound knowledge in religion in his biting satire. And this essay, Rizal also reveals the priest's abusive actions performed using the Catholic Church's name, and Saint Augustine goes on to great length of criticizing the friar's deficiency in understanding Christian teachings and doctrines combined with stupidity through writing so that the world will laugh at him. And now the La Indolencia de los Filipinos, or widely known as the indolence of the Filipinos. And Rizal explained to this essay of him the alleged sluggishness of the Filipinos when the Philippines is still under the control of Spain. Jose Rizal's The Indolence of the Philippines is a self-defense against the hatred and the calumnies of the oppressors who condemn the Filipinos as insert, as unresponsive, and useless. When we spend our entire lives worshiping such a cruel and inhuman society forced upon us by aliens who do not even know our motherland, we are destined to tire after a while. I disagree on what those people say that Filipino workers are unskilled, untrained, misguided, irresponsibly haughty, intoxicated with show, pomp, and glory, and unconcerned with the intrinsic value of work. It is not a concrete reason or basis for them to conclude who are very dedicated with their works. It is more like a right to say that indolence of Filipinos is the effect and not the cause of the Philippine backwardness. It's the way Spaniards treated the Filipinos that made them indolent. If Filipinos had only retained their rights over the properties, their own land, they would be more determined to improve their ways of living. If they were free to learn, they would know better. If they were not being fooled by the wrong doctrines, they would still have their own ways. And if they were just taught to be the best, they would not be worsening. But it's never too late to correct the wrong impression. And we Filipinos should also do our part of this and be educated and learn from the past, never again. And it is true that the education and liberty would be the cure of the Filipino indolence. Nole me tangere. The characters of this novel represents the actions of Filipinos in the generation of today as individuals, in the background of Rizal depict the various aspects of gaining independence. And we focus on the social climbers, abusive factors, family loyalty, self-sacrifice, and purity and faithfulness. It is a wake-up call for all the Filipinos to break free from the threats of a so-called harmonious and friendly relationship with the Spaniards, implicitly starting the flames of revolution. And it was the seed that gave us the idea of stopping being ignorant and aroused our needs for independence and liberty. No Limit ang Hire gave us strength. The writing of Rizal was formed to fuel the growing nationalism that will help the Filipinos break free from the abusive shackles, which we have now. Filipino nowadays knows a different type of a person, from the government up to the ordinary people in the community. So now we are not ignorant to our surrounding in today's generation that we have. And now we're bound to the last essay of Jose Rizal, which is the El Filibusterismo. El Filibusterismo is a greedy regime. Rizal's second novel, Gomez Burgos Zamora, was dedicated in this novel to his homeland in the three martyr friars Gomez, Burgos, and Zamora. The differences of No Limit ang Hire and El Filibusterismo is that No Limit ang Hire is about love and romance, while El Filibusterismo is about politics and government in our country. It indirectly targets the Spanish government, and the novel depicts the Spaniards as brutal and evil. And it, however, addresses the Filipino community's bravery. It demonstrates our fellow citizens' remarkable fortitude in combating the Spaniards' avarice and cruelty. After reading this poetry, you will realize that the sword is not the only weapon capable of piercing steel armor, and words can still demolish anyone's pride in this world. And it can't result death, not only for those fighting for freedom in a battle of words and thoughts, but also for those fighting for freedom in a war of words and thoughts. Preserving this kind of literature can help and inspire people to move forward and also do something. They can help boost the people to move forward and do something, and they can relate their state in life, their family, and many others to the characters. It's just based on their perspective, transforming it to be more artistic and can lead to a more significant audience, and it will be a great help, especially those who loves reading. The government is corrupt, and the population was clouded from the truth because of the latter's habits and teaching during the Spanish colonization, which depicts the Filipinos' struggles of a Spaniard-dominated country. But Dr. Jose Rizal wrote El Filibusterismo to warn our fellow citizens in that era, and that revolution seemed the only solution to break the chain of slavery and the bondage of the Spaniards.